I've definitely had a major style change since the last time. I went ahead and tried to be different, and I may have accidentally cut off more of my fur than I meant to. So now I'm down to the Van Dyke, which I think looks okay. I miss my face is cold. So I just wanted to come on and talk about some interesting things that I noticed when I first started down this path into paganism. I really wanted to kind of find out what it's like, because, coming from a Roman Catholic background, I expected it to be like Roman Catholicism, and it is not. It is definitely anything but, and I think that is a huge part of its charm, at least for me. So when I got into this, I wasn't expecting many of the things that I found, and I kind of wanted to share some of those things with you. Surprising things in paganism, part one, probably. I'm sure there's a lot. One of the first most surprising things I discovered about paganism and witchcraft specifically is that there's no concrete definition. As far as I can tell, everyone kind of disagrees on what it means, which makes it confusing and hard to get into, I suppose. Oh, by the way, happy October. October! Oh! It has been a few weeks since I showed these, and so I kind of wanted you guys to see how they're coming along. Look, this string. It is coming along beautifully. They're almost ready. About maybe another week. Give them one more week to dry. They're a lot less green than they used to be, which is what we're looking for. Maybe I'll start using myself as screenshots. Maybe that picture of me smiling at them will make me more likable. Hard to say. One only fell down once from its little hanging spot there, so I think they like me. So yeah, there's no defined concrete thing that explains either witchcraft or paganism, and it's very interesting. There's a lot of very, normal ways for people to kind of get around it, and earth-based religion or this sort of thing. Me personally, I do prefer to think of paganism as the religious version. It's sort of like a non-Abrahamic religion, basically religion. Specifically religion, in my mind, and again, this is a personal explanation because I know there are people who are going to disagree with this, but in my mind, that's the only way to kind of make sense of it. Whereas magic, there's a really, really wonderful definition of magic that I love and I think should be just common use. I should look that up, but my phone is recording me. Maybe I'll just find it and paste it over my face. So that was one of the first very surprising things I discovered about paganism and witchcraft. Another thing I discovered, it's not really that old, at least here in America. It's even only just a few decades in some aspects, especially like Wicca, whereas other things like, I guess, Druidism is older. Obviously, it's like a reconstructed version. I mean, I'm not a druid yet, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. But my understanding is that it's relatively new as well, relatively, in comparison to, actually being the proper thing from thousands of years ago or whatever. Another thing that surprised me was that most people actually seem to identify as eclectic, that no one really prescribes to a single philosophy. Obviously, Wiccanism is huge in America, and it always kind of has been, but it's always huge with new witches. It just kind of stops being a thing fairly quickly for quite a drastic number of pagans and witches that I am familiar with. Personal experience, caveat, asterisk. This is all just my perception of this stuff. And so that's another thing that I was expecting, from a Roman Catholic perspective, is that it was just going to be there is a a pagan Bible, and then you go forth and pagan. And then it just wasn't. And then there's just books and philosophers and teachers and just shamans and gurus and all sorts of things that you could just get into and decide for yourself what's right and what's true and what's accurate. And that is far and away probably my favorite part of this whole path. Is that, personal gnosis is important to me. One of the biggest reasons I never connected with the Catholicism is that, Catholicism is that guy up there is talking to God, me down here is experiencing him talk to God, and I'm not quite sure the disconnect. It was just weird. I never liked that. I always wanted to be able to have my connection to, the divine and to what I consider to be the wider universe other than the mundane. And the only way for me to be able to do that is to not watch somebody else do it, and to just do it myself. And so, I went rambly again. Regardless, even though that's the most normal, or even though that's the most, obvious part of paganism, is that it's not a singular religion. It's very much so personally defined. It struck me as surprising. It was definitely something that I was not expecting. Another thing I wasn't expecting was that it's overwhelmingly female. Overwhelmingly. It's got to be something like 10-1, right, for women versus men in this context, because I go to these spaces like on the Witches and Pagans Mino or something like that, or watching YouTube channels or being on Facebook or Tumblr or Twitter or any of these places where pagans are trying to enunciate themselves and show themselves. Huge swath of them are female, which is obviously great, and clearly it's probs because patriarchy. It's definitely not meant to be a female restrictive thing, and again, that's probably one of my favorite parts of it, is that we are on equal footing in this path, men and women, and I think that is very exciting, and that is something that I really wasn't prepared for. Not because I'm saying that I felt, powered and better than you somehow because I have penis, and I don't really understand it, but it's not true. I don't feel that way, and also I don't understand how anyone ever felt that way, but it's not really up to me how other people use their brain stuffs. It's just up to me to explain to you, to the best of my ability, how I use my brain stuffs. I got the powers up here. So those are definitely the most surprising things that I discovered when first coming upon this path, this paganism, this witchcraft, this life that is all of ours together. This is really soft and pleasant. And with that, I bid you adieu, adieu, mwah, mwah. You guys. I never forget, a witch bows to no one, not even the gods. Peace.